Hello. Yeah, this video I'm doing this on quickly. I'm not feeling too well. I've got really, quite bad chest pains, and my chest feels all heavy, and feels like my lungs are almost struggling to inflate when I breathe in. And I'm getting tight feeling in my back when I breathe in, and sort of a sharp pain there in my back as well. It's tricky really, because most would say to me, because of my marfan syndrome, go straight to hospital. If you're having chest pains, go straight to hospital. And usually I'm the first one to say that to other people as well. But where I have fibromyalgia as well, chest pains and pains in your back and your neck, shoulders, all that sort of stuff is common with fibromyalgia. So I'm thinking it's a fibro flare-up. I also have anxiety, so it could be that as well. With anxiety, you sometimes, when you're having an anxiety attack, you sometimes have trouble breathing. You sometimes get chest pains and things like that as well with that. So it's really difficult, because if it is fibromyalgia flare-up or just an anxiety attack, then going to A&E would be a wasted trip, and it would be wasting their time, because the fibro flare-up will probably clear up by tomorrow or by the time I get to the hospital, or so then I won't have the pains anymore and whatnot. And also, having chest pains, it does worry me, and it does kick up my anxiety. So because where I've already had heart surgery and came this close to dying if I didn't have it, it kind of does scare you. But I just want to point out, really, and raise a little bit of awareness for people that have multiple disabilities or multiple chronic illnesses, because they can have overlapping and conflicting symptoms. So, and they can have very similar symptoms. So as I was saying, the chest pains, it could be a fibromyalgia thing, or it could be a panic attack thing. The trouble getting breath could be a panic attack thing or an anxiety attack, or it could be an issue with my heart. I'm not having a heart attack, I know that, because I've studied having this heart issue since I was born. I know everything there is to know about my heart condition. I know everything there is to know about what a heart attack feels like, although, to be honest, I've never experienced a heart attack, so I can't really say I know what it feels like. But I've studied the symptoms of a heart attack in men and women, and believe it or not, it is different in both sex. But with the marfan syndrome, the issues with that, the aneurysms and aortic dissection and all that sort of stuff, a lot of the time we don't get symptoms, Like with my last heart surgery, the heart issues I was having, I had no symptoms beforehand. I just thought I was going for a routine checkup, you know, have one every year. I hadn't had one, admittedly, for a few years, probably about 6-7 years, because I was moving around a lot, and, you know, obviously I was young, I was more interested in hanging out with my friends and spending time in hospital, you know. But, you know, when I finally did get the checkup, I just thought, yeah, it's going to be a checkup, they're going to look at it, it's going to be fine, they're going to tell me to go away and come back in a year. But it didn't work that way. It was kind of like, oh God, this woman's dying, we better operate on her straight away. But yeah, so it's really hard having multiple chronic illnesses. Sorry, my cats are deciding to have a bicker. But yeah, where was I? Yeah, it's not easy having multiple chronic illnesses or disabilities, as I was saying, because of the overlapping symptoms, like with my fibromyalgia, marfan syndrome, and the osteoarthritis. All three of those affect the joints, muscles, give you pain in the joints, pain in the muscles, stiff muscles. I also have hypermobility because of the marfan syndrome. And because of fibro, my joints can sometimes become quite stiff. So with hypermobility as well, that is a really tricky one. You know, because hypermobility is basically double jointed. You're very bendy at the joints. And if your joint becomes stiff with that, it can get quite painful. Also, I have sublux joints, which again is another fancy term for double jointed. It basically means my joints always come out halfway out of the socket, and on occasion I do have full dislocations, and it's something I've learnt to deal with myself, and I've learnt how to kind of put my joints back in myself, because it's kind of you know, it's something you don't want to be at the hospital every couple of days or every couple of weeks for a dislocated joint, you know. It's not practical, you know, not when you got stuff to do, not when you got life, you know, you got to go out, do your shopping, pay your bills, you know, stuff like that. You can't be running to the hospital all the time. So it's just like I sort it out myself now. Unless it's a big joint that's dislocated. Like I've not really dislocated my shoulders, although they are sublux, but I've never fully dislocated them. My hip, one of my hip likes to dislocate on its own, and I just I don't touch that because it is excruciating, because I also have the osteo in that hip. So I just kind of leave that to its own devices, and it kind of figures itself out. But yeah, so basically I just wanted to make this video to point out the conflicting symptoms and the crossing over of symptoms, I guess, of the three illnesses. But yeah, I'm hoping at the moment it's not, the pain is quite bad. I mean, I took my painkillers and my heart meds like a few minutes ago, so they should be kicking in soon, and that might help. I am worried about the elevated heartbeat, because it is pounding. It's like I feel like I've got like a giant bass speaker in my chest, you know, or there's someone in there with a fucking big hammer trying to knock their way out. But that's worrying. But if the pain gets any worse or the symptoms get any worse, I am going to head straight to A&E. But until then, I'm just going to try and relax, have a nice cup of tea, maybe watch some Netflix. But yeah, it's painful. I mean, I hiccuped earlier, just before the video, and I've got to tell you, I thought I was going to die when I hiccuped. It was so painful. Nearly passed out. Hiccuping with my chest. I have, where I have the pectus vacuum, I think it's called. It's where the ribs are deformed and they grow inwards. So there's like a big dip in my chest. And then, of course, because I had the heart surgery, they had to kind of crack open my ribs a bit there, down at the bottom, to get into where my heart was. And then they had to wire that shut again. So I've got wires kind of around my ribs now, sort of holding it together. And so when I do get pain with my chest and with my back as well, where I've had the scoliosis surgery. For those who don't know, scoliosis is a curved spine. And I had metal rods, I believe they call them the Harrington rods. I had them bolted to my spine basically to hold it straight. So whenever I hiccup, sneeze, cough, you know, it is excruciating. And I have knocked myself unconscious by sneezing and coughing before, so that's always fun. But yeah, so I'm going to make this quick video. Hopefully I won't end up in hospital tonight. Fingers crossed. Starting to feel a bit better. I'm like breathing a little bit easier, I think. But I think that's because I'm not concentrating on what's going on here. I'm concentrating on what's going on the camera and talking and everything. So I think that's helping to calm me down, talking to all you lovely people. But yeah, so again, I will say, if you do have chest pains and issues breathing, especially if you have marfan syndrome, because with the issues we can get with marfan syndrome with the heart and the lungs, and the aorta and all that jazz, if you're getting chest pains, don't be scared to ring your doctor, have an emergency appointment with them, or go to a walk-in centre or a drop-in centre, or go to A&E, or even if you're in the UK, we have a service, I think it's 111, I think, and that is where you can ring up the NHS and you talk to them and tell them your symptoms and get advice from them, and they tell you how you can proceed. And usually if you say to them, I've got marfan syndrome and I'm having chest pains, or if you say to them, I've had previous heart surgery and I'm having chest pains, they will send out an ambulance straight away. You know, by law they have to. So, you know, so if you are having chest pains and stuff, do get it checked out. Don't do what I'm doing and just sit here going, yeah, it's fine, it's probably just fibro. Go get it checked anyway, you know. Oh, so painful. But yeah, I think that's it for this video. So hopefully I'll be fine. Go check out my new Facebook page, Suki's Vlogs, and you know, you can get in touch with me on there better. And I might do a live video in the next few days. But yeah, it'd be really cool if I could actually do a live video about this subject, about having multiple disabilities or illnesses, multiple disabilities or chronic illnesses, and the symptoms and whatnot. That would be really cool if I could do a live video chat with everyone on it, and be really cool to ask and answer some questions. So yeah, if you all want to partake in that, go to my Facebook page, Suki's Vlogs, and just write a comment, say hi, you know. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go now before I pass out. But yeah, that's me. High on life, low on spoons.